agreed.
All right. Well, first of all, I just want to welcome everybody and call the meeting to order. And just happy New Year to everybody. It's 2025. Look, very excited. I mean, about our opportunity that we have in 2025, and things are moving. And it's just I think it's a very exciting time to be a part of the partnership. But it's just a very exciting time to be in Louisville. I think everybody got the minutes from our previous meeting. If no one needs any changes or sees anything that needs to be changed from the meeting December the 2nd, just need a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
So moved by Michael. Can I get a second?
I said,
Thank you so much. Any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Like that motion carries. Hey, now, I think all these financials were sent out. I know that financials from October, financials from November, and the financials from December.
In October, they received on December 3rd.
Right, you've had
So you
those,
had those.
you had those for a while, so I know sometimes we have some questions or any just comments about anything there.
Couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
The October ones, there's some LG&E stuff, but I didn't see LG&E on the others. And is there like quarterly payments or something, or what's going on?
We transferred from the tenant, some LG&E, so the dates just kind of, some in the month or some out of the month. We have 4 LG&E accounts, 2 for each side, 2 for this set of suites over here and 2 for over there. And some had not been transferred from the landlord's name. So we were working through all that. We are up to date now.
So now they'll be coming in together.
Yes, all 4 of them are now in our names.
Good question, Mike.
And then, November, there's a Key Consulting. Has had a new contract, or
Who?
Key Consulting LLC?
That's Heather. That's Heather Marshall,
Oh,
the community engagement specialist.
okay.
Uh-huh.
The duplicator sales and service monthly invoice, is that a monthly service contract, or is that just?
No, well, yeah, we have a monthly service contract, but we also have for our copier. That's for our copier. And there were some questions and I had them to go back to correct some stuff. They credited a whole bunch of stuff back and then they reapplied it.
So that's
And we've
multiple
reconciled
months.
it. Huh?
That's multiple months for the. government.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And then, December,
And I'm listening. I'm just trying to get Dr. Craddock in. Okay, go ahead.
The Baird, are we trying to do that quarterly, or what?
Yes,
There was the 15 from October and then 75 in December.
yes, we caught up. We caught up in the arrears in October, but now we're doing it on a quarterly basis. Michael sends it to me on a quarterly basis. Mhm.
It's not, our norm isn't retainer relationships, to be quite candid, and we don't do hourly, so, what practically happens is I wake up and, 5 months later, like, hey, Michael, have we sent Rita an invoice? No, I haven't. Okay. And then at the end of the year, our year end is December, so Rita got it all done at the year end. So going forward, like Rita said, play it on a quarterly basis.
Yeah, just keep track of it when it's irregular.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be on a regular schedule now. A lot of little cleanup,
Yeah.
4th quarter. But
I
good
mean,
questions.
Those are really good questions. I
Mhm.
think a lot of those kind of questions probably will be addressed with the budget, because then you'll see kind of what's going on. I mean,
Mhm.
and because we'll be budgeting for
Mhm.
CHIP, we'll be budgeting for everything. So your questions are right on. And I think that when we get a budget expenses but where you see what our expenses are, you'll be able to see that. And so when it happens and differently in the month or so, you see that we're catching up from budget and stuff. But those are good questions. Any other? So, I mean, can I like try to accept all these at one time? I do need to do them individual.
You can do them together.
All right.
Separate, it's up to.
Yeah.
Well, I would prefer to do them all at one time. I mean, we looked at the October, November and December financials and we reviewed those, so we just really need to accept those. So is there a motion to accept the October, November and December financials?
So moved.
Thank you. Wait a second.
Second.
All right, thank you. There's no other questions. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, that motion carries as well. Chip, man, let's give me an update, man. Let me know what's going on.
Alrighty, I talked to Gary Morris. I actually invited him to attend this call to kind of communicate with the finance committee directly, but the TIF payment is in process, you know, to as closely quote him as possible. There has been the draft numbers have been prepared and they're circulating among their staff for final sign off. And you're gonna get a draft of that, Laura, in due time when it's went through their protocol to sign off on. So I frankly wanted him to come because I didn't want to have to be the one to be like, they didn't hear yet. So I just wanted the Department of Revenue to be a little, but he just politely declined. He does understand though, when the numbers are there, that it's gonna be important for the administration to meet, communicate with them, and then come to the board and present it in person. That Department of Revenue stands on notice for that.
Chip, hold 1 second. I figured to make this noise. Dr. Craddock is having major difficulty, so I'm going to see if we can get him on the line so he can listen in, if that's okay. You might just have to listen in on my cell phone because I don't know what's going on. He said he's never had this problem before. He's not receiving anything from us.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
What's the operator error, man? What you doing over?
Yeah, so let's see. Let me do it this way.
Mine was doing the same thing.
Uh,
Mine started doing the same thing.
Your,
I don't get any communications from you guys. I have to search for it.
For real?
I found it. It's going into a spam
Do
specific
you
folder.
have Gmail?
yeah,
You won't,
what's going on?
I only say this because this happened with us when we changed our IP address. If you have a new IP address, it sends all of your, Gmail sends everything to spam.
We don't have a new IP address. Matter of fact, I
Well,
can't even get through.
It started when y'all moved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which means you probably had a new IP address.
When they set up the website, that may have changed the email keys and
Right.
DNS, and those may have to be updated.
You know, here's the interesting thing.
Yeah.
There he is.
But that's what happened with us.
Yeah.
And it takes about 6 months to like sort itself out. We had to update the DNS and
Yeah.
So you all changed your IP address?
Redo it.
No.
faster.
We
you
didn't
all,
need- We did?
when you got the new website, it triggered a change on the back end that's making them read you as
Well,
spam.
that's interesting because that happened in July, August. And now we're having problems.
Dr. Craddock, can you hear us?
I wasn't being.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm here. Thank y'all. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
Okay, Dr. Craddock, so you did, where did you end up finding your link? Where out of curiosity?
I had to go back to the calendar. I think did you just add it to the calendar?
No, I just send you a unique link to your email address.
Oh, it went to my
Or,
calendar.
or Zoom does actually.
So I never got it from Zoom. I went back to my calendar and it added the meeting link to the calendar.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Sorry for that
No,
inconvenience.
yeah. Oh no, it's all good. Yeah.
I'm glad you're here, man. We approved the minutes and then we accepted the October, November, and December financials. And Chip just gave us a report, man. We don't have that TIF number yet, but we are expecting that and hopefully he should be here soon.
Yeah, just for benefit of Dr. Craddock to repeat, I spoke with Gary Morris last week and then again today. I actually invited him to participate, on this call just so he could have a direct communication with you guys. He politely declined, but he said that the numbers are finished, in terms of what, the partnership's going to receive. But he is, their protocol is they circulate the draft to their peers or department or whatever before, Laura and Rita will receive it. So, that's where it is. And, don't have any more than that, but he is, aware that the partnership's been patient and waiting for the numbers. It is a lot to go through, but he's aware of that and appreciates that for relaying his message.
So he said he's got the number.
They've got the number, but they're
Is
not.
it a good number?
I
I was actually gonna ask, did he indicate whether there was a
No indication.
number?
And no
Right.
indication.
Because
Positive?
of the
Right.
CPI escalator,
Yeah.
and
No
that was the
indication.
concern.
No
Okay.
indication. So,
Did you ask?
I was gonna say, come on, Chip. You-
We'll find out.
that is my skill set, is navigating that finessing that question, but we do not have it. And, anywho,
You know my skill set, I'm just direct.
Whatever the number is, though, we will deal with it.
we'll deal with it,
We'll
but
deal with it.
I think there'll be, the approach is there will be a number and their numbers will say what they are. And then there will be through the administration and the finance committee, sort of a greater understanding of what drove those numbers.
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
I mean, but we gotta start with the numbers
Right.
first.
Yeah.
And they have done their tally, their work, and they are circulating it to the draft letter amongst their committee of peers, or whatever.
When do you anticipate we'll have that? Did he lead you in down that?
I mean, I at risk of saying the same thing I said for the last 6 months, I can't imagine it's not imminent. I mean, it's due back in December,
It should have been deposited in our account on the
Yeah.
31st.
Right,
And then remember that they had indicated previously that they were anticipating talking with us in October about what the
yeah,
number
exactly.
is. There, let me add that on our part, we have, and I think we covered this in the last board meeting, we have done our required demand letter. We have to ask for the money in order to trigger them sending it.
We did.
And we did that. And since that time, we have, in addition to Chip's contacts that he has made, we have made other appropriate contacts so that they understand that this is something that's critical for us. So the communication is occurring constantly with the state regarding.
And
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions, comments to that? All right, moving right along. Emily, we got a new partner. Are you gonna introduce?
Yes, so good to see you all again. Happy New Year's. With me today is Stevia Smith, Senior Accountant at Crow. She was on the call last time, so now she's here in person. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, as Justin mentioned, my name's Stevia Smith Wilson. I'll be working with the team at Crow. So anything that needs support in the area of transitioning onto the accounting software, we're here to help. Just let us know what we can do for you. And nice to meet all of you. Well.
Great.
All right.
And I think the latest on the transition status, I know Stevie and I and Rita will be meeting with Blackbelt later this week to go
Thursday.
Thursday, yes,
Mhm.
Thursday, to go over where they are. So assuming everything has been brought in from Otis, I don't see any reason why we couldn't, pick up in January with doing the financials and stuff, so.
And then, of course, we'll send you guys all the information. Is there anything in terms of the short time that you've been on board with regard to the financials that you need us to do extra? Or is there any issues or concerns at this particular point in time in terms of the information we're submitting?
I think you got it laid out from the emails I've seen so far, so.
Okay,
But we could go back through it and kind of see it.
just make sure
Yeah.
if there's any tweaks or
Mhm.
anything.
Let me just add too, that part of the work that's happening now is the preliminary work on what the budget
Mhm.
will be. But the intention is for Crow to produce a draft budget, which will come to this committee for some bottoms up work, additions, subtractions, clarifications before that final budget is built. So I think this committee should anticipate having some significant input on what that budget is gonna be. That's what the plan is.
And one of the biggest pieces to the budget is, of course, is that TIF funding. So, once we have that number, we can kind of continue to build it out. Okay.
But just so you know, there's some preliminary work
Yeah.
that's already been done with regard to building the draft budget based on our history,
Yeah.
The financial history.
And
So
I was gonna say, now that we have December, I'm gonna go back and kind of
Mhm.
tweak that based off of
Yeah.
December numbers.
Otis came through for us on that, like at 1:53 AM. So that we would have all of 2024 figures for you.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been a real champion, so.
Yes, ma'am.
And this may already have been answered and maybe I missed it. Do we have our financial policies and procedures? Is that something? I love the way y'all do it.
Policies and procedures,
So,
that's what they're gonna
so
help
do
us
y'all
with.
have that or do we, this is my question.
Mhm.
By y'all coming on, are y'all gonna do some type of internal controls, risk assessment to see what we have done, what we can work on as far as the numbers and the figures?
Yeah, I think so. That's a part of our job is definitely putting those, making sure the procedures are being followed, policies is being followed accurately. So yeah, I would say that's something we could probably put in place or kind of, map out for you. I think I'm assuming that's what you're looking for.
Because right now, we don't, help me out, we don't have really any type of policies or procedures for our financial processes.
Got it. Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and we was waiting for you guys to
Mm.
come on board to help us with that. And I
Okay.
just wanted, I know a lot of times, accountants, they do that in the beginning during that transitional period. So they can ask the previous accountant any questions and so I was just asking if that's going to be done, if it has been done.
Yeah, and I think once we get in Blackball and actually see what's in there, how it looks, because we haven't spent any time in there. So I'm hoping after Thursday, we can actually start getting in there on our own and kind of seeing what has been done by Otis and his group, following up with him or any questions we have.
Okay. And Otis, was he using QuickBooks Online?
No, Blackball.
Okay, so who's using?
That's what I was gonna say. Blackball is the accounting software that Community Ventures has been using the whole time. And in the evaluation with Crow coming on board, the decision was made that it would be to our advantage to
To keep
stay
it.
with that system. So we are transitioning from Otis we say Otis, because Otis, Director of Finance, he's been doing everything, from Community Ventures to our own ownership of Blackball. And Thursday is our onboarding for that. We, behind the scenes, have been supplying all the information with Crow and information that they needed from us. So we're excited about that.
Then why are we paying QuickBooks?
Pardon me?
There's a line item on our financial statement that says QuickBooks.
There's a line item on QuickBooks. There may be a component. We'll ask Otis about that. If there's a line item on there for QuickBooks, there may be something that he did to incorporate, to track something. Because I send a lot of the electronic files for all the stuff each month. Yeah, but no, Blackballed is the system. And then they have elevated their system in this transition.
Yes.
Blackballed has, and so we will be on the cloud-based
Yeah.
portion of that, but we'll get that question answered for you. But Blackballed, as you may or may not know, is a accounting software that's used by most prominent nonprofits.
Yeah.
Like it's the best. So, but yes, QuickBooks, she said there's a line item
Okay,
in
yeah.
there,
I'm-
QuickBooks, so we can figure out what that is. Or you all might be able to tell us what that is. Yeah.
Think it got answered, but just for clarification, Blackbaud has some sort of hosted platform and we're moving the data that's currently.
Correct, yeah.
To that hosted platform.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
And we had confirmed that on Thursday that that's been done, but they know already that was important for them to move all the historical data over in this conversion.
Yeah, in our conversations, we were adamant about making sure that we got everything. Because they could do part of it, but we wanted all the historical data as well. So everything was being transitioned, which was an additional cost to do that, but it was worth it.
I have some familiarity with Blackbaud, but that was 20 years ago in a different era. So
Mhm.
But to your point, from the policy standpoint, you know, the audit we got, I mean.
We have to do an audit. We haven't done our first audit yet.
Okay.
Mhm. So now that we have Crow and we get the policies and procedures in place and we figure out the time frame, but we will have to do an audit.
I think with that, if there's some tightening up that we need to do, I mean, we'll definitely see from a policy standpoint, see some things where we need to maybe make it a little bit tighter.
It's on page 3, agenda.
Yeah, okay, so I'm looking, I was like, well, where is it
October,
now?
it's on October.
Oh, I'm looking December, okay, it's in
I'm looking
October,
December
yeah,
as
I'm looking
well.
December, yeah. Definitely curious.
But Rita, have you guys started looking for an auditor yet?
We've done some preliminary work when we were doing the research for our accounting firm. So yeah, that would not be something difficult for us to move
Yeah.
into swiftly. Mhm.
Did I find that in October
I
yet?
did, I see it, it's the 190, is that what you, yeah,
And I've seen it consistently on there.
so it's like a monthly recurring this thing happens, or is it?
It's like it's monthly because it's with Adobe and Microsoft and Zoom.
So let's just see if we can
Find
find out exactly
What that is.
yeah.
And I'll ask him while we're sitting here, because Otis is usually pretty. October financials, page 3.
Page
It's a quick book line item for
First line
190,
item, yeah,
190.
190, yes.
I mean, you guys got anything else you talk about from a budgetary standpoint or from anything else?
No, nothing else. We're still, you know, revising it and working through it. No, we'll be back for the board call, so I'm sure before then, I hope to have another draft out to you guys, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Laura, I guess you want to address what Cornerstone, some of the, I guess, the
Okay.
funding requests.
And I think everyone sees that Travis is here. We have an update that we want to provide to the Finance Committee regarding the grant and project applications that we have received to date. And Travis is here to do that. Keep in mind that this is information that's available to board members on a shared drive, but the drive is for use by board members only. The information is confidential out of deference to all of the applicants. So that's why it's on a shared drive rather than on a printed up piece of paper that's distributed. But Travis is going to give you the summary information so you can see what our progress has been to date. I think it's exciting, the number of applications that we have. Keep in mind as well that Travis and Rita and I have had meetings every 2 weeks to go over the status of each of the open applications. And they do a summary on each application, and that's the information that you will have an opportunity to review on the shared drive. So Travis, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today. As Laura just mentioned, we provide those narratives for each one of the applicants every 2 weeks. But then that information that we gather from the application itself, we compile that into a CRM database as well as create dashboards to show a visual of the information that's gathered. So what I'm going to go through first is just some of the stats and as far as the information that's added to the CRM. They started taking in applications in November. Thus far, there have been 13 applicants. There's 4 small businesses, 7 nonprofits, 2 traditional enterprises, which is that would be a larger organization, whether it be nonprofit or for-profit. And usually the ask is a minimum of around $200,000 request. Funding request range is from anywhere from $30,000 to $9.5 million in some cases. To date, the neighborhood that has presented the most applications is Russell, and we do have a few organizations that are outside of the West End, but they provide services to the West End. So at some point, we've just sent 30-day determinations for some of those. But at some point, those entities will be in front of you that you will have to make a decision on. I'm going to just go through some of the small businesses. Like I said, this is the range here. As far as the ask, the type of businesses, they're anywhere from developers to spa and wellness centers to culinary and mentoring to tax prep. And the criteria for fund eligibility outlines how the scoring is done on each application. We brought in some,
Make that bigger,
oh, yes,
Travis.
absolutely. How's that?
Okay.
Good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So,
instructed, yes.
excuse me, I apologize. So on the small business development side, like I said, there's been 4 applicants. The range of requests, it varies. A lot of it is to scale up their businesses or to help with the upfront funding for a brick and mortar location. For the nonprofits, there's everything from barbershop and mentorship to community outreach and to lending institutions. And the funding request, again, there ranges from $30,000 to 9.5 million. Scores are coming in. These that have not been scored, they were either pushed. 3 of them were pushed out due to the holidays. The entities were scheduling either for this week or next week for their phone interview, which is, again, just questions that are surrounded around the criteria for fund eligibility. And one of the applicants actually was hospitalized. So we're just lifting them up in prayer, and they'll circle back to us after everything has, sort of settled down for them. So the traditional enterprises, they're both actually nonprofits, but one is an ask of 2.5 million, one is an ask of $650,000. One is in the California neighborhood, one is in the Russell neighborhood. We completed one phone interview yesterday, and we have one scheduled tomorrow. So in the next meeting, you'll have the scores for this group as well. And as Laura said, this information is available to you guys whenever you want it on the shared drive. That the drive has been shared with your info email as well as Rita's email. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the dashboard, which just presents a visual of some of this information I've shared with you guys. Do you have any questions on any of this thus far?
Mike has a question.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
So are these completed, like fully complete applications, or does it include in-process applications, like people that don't have everything in yet, or?
Well, these are entities that have filled out the application, but if you scroll over here, there may be several documents that they're missing. So they may have received, out of the 13, 7 of these entities have received 30-day determination letters, which is not a final determination. It's just where you're at at the 30-day point. And that's letting them know that, if you plan on building a building, then you need a set of complete drawings. You need to show that, you have a capital stack and so forth. So each one of these entities, to answer your question, has submitted an application, but there may be a couple of items that they need to move forward.
Mike, one way to look at it is, again, as Travis said, these are all the applicants, but so far for each of them, there's something missing. By adopting the criteria for fund eligibility, the board said, these are the pieces of information that we need in order to assess your application. When we get to the point where all of those pieces are there, then those projects will come to the finance committee, and the neighborhood rep, whose neighborhood the project is located in, they will participate in the finance committee meeting as well. Travis will make a recommendation, and then there will be a discussion here. But up until this point, there's something missing in each of the packets that we've got.
Well, I guess. I don't know if I saw correctly, I think there was one application from Portland.
Yes, there's one application from Portland, and then there's another group that we've talked to from Portland that hasn't submitted their application yet. So there's,
Potentially two.
One of
is
them
what
was
I
having difficulty in the other, so I knew of at least two. That's
Yeah.
where my confusion was,
Mhm.
and we can talk offline about that.
So the second one, they've had conversations with Travis.
yes, yes. We've talked to actually both groups now, and the second group from Portland, we had a call with them, and they seem to have an understanding of what they need to do to move forward. And they have our contact information. If they have any questions at all, they know they can reach us anytime.
Yeah, I started to say there too, because we know that we've had contact with two, but one of those has not really submitted any.
Yeah, there's actually three groups that outside of these applicants that we've had conversations with that just have not submitted the application as of yet, but they fully intend to. And what you see on the screen now is just a visual aid communicating the exact information that I just had up on the spreadsheet. So this is also available to you guys in the shared drive if you ever need any of the information on it. And this just is some of the information from the application itself. If the entity is accessible by public transportation, do they plan on a community give back program? Are they aware of their credit score? Do they plan on job creation? Do they have a business bank account and a business website as well? Any questions on anything thus far?
Michael,
You said, was there an invite sent for the shared drive, or how do we access that?
It is if you have the info westendopportunity.org email address, then you can go into the share drive.
If you have some problem with it.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Travis, the info is directed to me. Any of the
Okay.
board members who want to go in, I'm gonna let them know. They just need to request and I will provide them access to the drive, to the shared drive.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
You just send those email addresses over and we can have that access as soon as possible if there's
Okay,
other email addresses you all want to add.
exactly. Okay.
Now, this has been a really exciting process for us so far to see the level of interest that's there. And to have our regularly scheduled meetings with Travis to go over the applications. We'll continue to publicize the availability of the grants and of the loans. I think it's been helpful so far, but I think this is a good initial response. I think one thing that is always appropriate is for each board member, particularly the neighborhood reps, to I keep coming up with a church analogy. I was starting to say to preach the word or to at least get the information out in your own neighborhoods about the availability of the assistance that we can provide. But we're really excited about how things seem to be progressing right now.
yes, sir.
So as we're preaching, or in some cases being preached to by the community, and they've got questions about the application process or whatever, traditionally I've, said reach out to Rita or Laura, non-specific. And I know sometimes they get directed over to
Travis.
Travis. Is there a specific contact we should be referring people to? Or just?
No, I think that
call
works.
the main number, or like what's the preferred process? And, you know,
Well,
information.
For right now, it's, rather than to restrict who the personal contact is, it's perfectly all right for people to contact Rita or to contact me or to contact Travis directly, given the fact that the three of us have this routinely scheduled meeting
Bi-weekly.
and we communicate each day about any kind of application that we get. So if, however they want to reach to the partnership, let them do it in whatever way is comfortable for them, because the information will flow between us anyway.
I mean, I figure personally, I'll just send it to you guys and you guys can triage it. If it needs to go to Travis, then,
Yes, that's fine.
that way he's not bogged down with,
Yeah, that's fine.
you know, simple stuff or stuff that.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of people are contacting our main line and talking to Rita directly. And that's working.
Any other questions, comments? You got something?
The only observation as we've been working through this is the fact that how we've been emphasizing and continue to emphasize that the partnership is an economic development initiative. And so Travis, observation on those who are submitting based on grants, you know, they look at the partnership like a grant versus the economic development side of things where they're looking at a favorable loan or a loan with favorable interest rates. What are you seeing? I think would be helpful.
From several of the nonprofits, the majority, actually all that have applied are all grant requests. That's why some of the larger dollar amounts, we've moved them over to the traditional enterprise, because though you are a nonprofit, if the ask is 2.5 million, I would expect that the partnership would like at that point some compliance as far as community givebacks, participation, that type of thing, to ensure that the community is involved with whatever project may move forward. There is one nonprofit, they haven't submitted their application yet, but they're looking for just a favorable loan. So like I said, all of the small businesses are loans that they're requesting. All of the nonprofits thus far are grants, with the exception of the one that has not applied yet. And the only thing that differentiates between the nonprofits is the request amount, which then if it's at some point would trigger them going over to the traditional enterprise, which I believe would be in best, you know, for the community and the partnership, that if this large amount is requested, that there be some compliance with the participation plan as outlined in the CFE.
One thing that we, that is of value in going over these summaries that Travis will be presenting to this committee is it gives the finance committee an opportunity to think ahead. As we get more and more grant requests in from nonprofits, this committee may want to decide, well, should we have a maximum amount for nonprofits? Do we want to have a specific period of time within which we do nonprofit grants rather than to have it open for all 12 months? But that's part of what this committee's prospective thinking may be as we start getting enough data to see what the typical request is. There may be some other limitations and parameters that you want to recommend to the full board about this process. So that's why it's important for Travis to share this information with you, so you can get a picture of what's going on out there and what you may need to address.
And I think the initial approach has been really good in that, like Travis says, there's no, the applications are rolling. So that means people can apply. There's no start date. There's no end date. It gives us a period of time to get a feel for how things are going to settle. You know, not to say that it will be rolling all the time. We may have to, as we continue to refine, we may have to put some more structure in place, but right now, nobody can be left out. And people can apply, and then, we will massage that and then make the recommendations accordingly.
And Mike, and I'll get to you. But one of the things that, look here, man, I'm sensitive too. I'm a banker. Look, grants are not paid back.
Right.
And, this is about making investments.
Right.
So you can reinvest and so we can continue to invest. So, I just think, look here, am I saying that I'm opposed to grants? No, but all I'm saying is that, it's just not about giving away money. It's about making investments, getting return and keeping it going.
That totally undergirds my question for him,
Yeah.
for Travis to speak to, because we have been communicating that from the outset. And I think sometimes what, people, look at this opportunity and they see a whatever size pool of money and they just feel like, oh, okay, great, this is the opportunity. So we do have to keep things in perspective, particularly as we are trying to create a sustainable
Right.
model and organization beyond the 20 years tax increment period. That's so important.
And I think
Thank you.
a little bit has to, again, man, budgeting, seeing what we are gonna get from the TIF, okay? So
Right.
what are we comfortable with possibly just putting out some grants out there? But again, man, I want us to think on the investments,
Yeah.
return.
Mhm.
So that's kind of, where I am.
Yeah.
Mike,
So I've got two questions. One is kind of far out. Like, how would we be looking to collateralize the loans for either the small businesses or the nonprofits, or, what are we looking to them to put up as collateral, or is that part of the package, or is that after approval? Like, where does that come in?
That's ultimately, our goal is to be a part of their capital stack rather than their exclusive
Mhm.
capital. And as these projects come to this committee for review and assessment, that's where your input will come in, where you can make an assessment about whether you think they have enough skin in the game. What does their full financial package look like? Is this an opportunity for a even-handed investment on our part? What are the risks and rewards, et cetera? There are some applications to date where the applicant is looking to us to be their exclusive
Mhm.
investor. They are not investing any resources of their own. So this group needs to think about, does that make sense for us in our long-term financial picture?
yeah.
So this is a real, I think, an active analytical process that we are going to be going through. And ultimately, our goal, of course, is to exist beyond the 20 years of the TIF.
Right.
We want to exist into perpetuity so that each of these investment decisions that this committee is going to recommend to the board will have an impact on our ability to exist into perpetuity. Because we want to be on a sound financial footing, because that's the best way for us to continue to partner with and add value in the community. We can't help if we're broke. Okay, period.
Right. That's why I mean, look,
So that's
But he had
part
a
of what
second
you're gonna have
question,
to
too.
wrestle with
Right.
as a
Well,
finance
I think
committee. Mhm.
we also, if you go to a bank, 3Cs, credit, collateral, character, or whatever. So, we're gonna have to evaluate all of those traditionally, but, if we're asking so-and-so to put up their house, and, that puts us in kind of weird,
So we wouldn't,
public PR stuff, but,
of course,
but it's also, somewhat necessary. So, how we navigate that, is important.
Yes.
On the grant side, I mean, I think that there's, tons of places that do that. I think we have a role, but I think maybe we have to create some sort of part of the application that, how do you justify the economic development aspect of a grant? Like, there's more ways to get a return on, I'll use Gil Holland's term, return on community. And that's important. So like if we're doing, workforce development, skills, that sort of thing, like that has value. And, we may be willing to take the chance on a grant for that, but I think we need to push the applicants, to come with their business plan to show us what economic development and the return on the community or return on that investment from, the partnership. Just the same way that, we look at, tourism investment in Louisville and, what the investment comes back into the community, like, somebody's got to do that math and that has to be a part of the
That's right.
application.
Here's the thought too. Remember when we had our community meetings? And we asked the participants, as you think about your neighborhood, what are the nonprofits that are the unsung heroes who are doing good work in the neighborhood? And they just may need an extra boost or a leg up to continue to do that. So the initial thought was nonprofits that are close to the ground, that are working daily with people in the neighborhood. The thought was not a mega nonprofit.
Right.
The thought was these neighborhood nonprofits that touch people on a daily basis. That's who the man on the street told us that they wanted us to help. So that's part of the analysis that we have to do, that this committee has to do. When we think about support of nonprofits, is this really consistent with the vision that the folks in the neighborhood told us that they wanted? XYZ is doing a good job. They just need a little modest financing. I don't think any of those folks thought that we would have a nonprofit asking for
$9.5 million.
You know, they were thinking this food bank needs a little more money. That's what they were thinking. They may need their heater fixed. That's what they were thinking. So that's part of what this committee has to think about. But this is exciting and dynamic work.
It is,
It is very, very exciting.
Yeah.
And the extent to which we analyze these requests, we take them all seriously, and the extent to which we keep hearkening back to our report that we did and the information that we gathered from the man on the street, I think we will end up in the right place.
And
But we gotta stay alert.
yeah.
We gotta stay alert.
And Laura, I think there's one other component, and Travis, you might want to speak to it for a minute. Excuse me, it's on the small business side. For example, folks who come to the table and they are not ready for that capital stack level. What we're doing is going beyond, going to that extra step to help that business to get the help they need. So when they come back to the table, whether it's to the partnership or anybody else, they're at a higher level. Travis, you want to speak to that?
Yes, and I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen one more time. Just, Mike, you mentioned the business plan, so that is one of the items. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
we
that's
see
one.
a cursor, that's good.
Okay, so
William
that's
can.
one of the items that we request from the small businesses is a business plan. If it's development, a set of drawings, a floor plan, capability statement, and so forth. And to Rita's point, what we've done is engage with SBDC as well as an organization that can help nonprofits that can sort of do some hand holding that you know, may be a little out of our wheelhouse and out of our bandwidth to get these organizations to that point where they're actually capital investment ready. However, the onus would still be on that small business owner to continue with those steps. Now, if they go to where we're recommending them to go to, whether that be, you know, SBDC or AMP, or Urban League, or whoever it may be in the community or beyond, if they go there, then we'll create that case study. But it's the onus is on them to become a good investment. And a question that I would have for the board is, at what point, or is there a point that you all would you consider where this amount of money is no longer in the realm of a grant, that this would have to be a loan? And is there a point where you would look at and consider, okay, so we're capping the grant amount at this, so you, because of, you know, your initiative, you can receive this amount in grant funds, but the remainder of the balance that of your request would be a loan. So there's a couple of different ways that you maybe can look at this. And of course, that will, you know, be in you guys' hands. But I just want to maybe give you some thought and on that, and let you know that we are identifying organizations that can undergird the effort of scaling these companies to where they're capital investment ready, and to let you know, Mike, that we are doing our due diligence as far as the documentation that they need to turn into us to even be considered for an investment.
And
And let me tell you
likewise,
something
okay,
from,
go ahead.
again, from my perspective.
Mhm.
Look, man, grant, we are not in the grant. We don't have an unlimited amount of money. So we are not going to be just in the giving away money business if we are trying to be long term. So I think we talking too much about grants personally, because that's not is what is going to sustain us,
Yeah.
and that's not is what's going to make our communities thrive just by giving X amount of dollars once and then not having anything else.
Yeah.
So like I said, man, I think, look, there may be some spots where we do that, but this is an investment. We're looking at how this investment can be returned to us and then continue to return to the communities that we're serving. So that's the conversations that we need to be having, in my opinion, not grants.
My
I
question,
got one,
my comment was on the small business side, and the only point I wasn't talking about grants, but it's an important point. Because when historically, you hear people who talk about small businesses needing assistance, and they go somewhere and then they just get lost in the process. The difference for what we're doing is that we, like Travis said, we are sourcing the resources, vetting them, making sure that they have what's necessary to help undergird these businesses, and then creating the case study so that we follow up. Excuse me, but it is a choice. It is a choice of the small business, you know, once they go through this process. So I think that is something that may seem small, but it's different, to help make sure that those businesses go through the full cycle and don't get lost, and know that people care and want to, you know, help them to elevate. That makes sense.
Dr. Craddock, I know you had some.
yeah, I just want to add, I think I do agree on the aspect of the grants to an extent. I think if we plan appropriately and we have a threshold amount of dollars that we say will be allocated to grants year after year, and we know what that threshold is, it may come from interest from the account, like whatever the case may be, but if we can designate a certain amount of dollars towards grants, I think that will provide a level of trust, but also increases the visibility of the work occurring within the organization on behalf of the community. From the aspect of it is saying that we're investing in the community, not necessarily asking for some type of return within that for these members of the community that are nonprofits that are actually doing the work on that end. So it can be just based on a nonprofit scale. They'd be the only ones that have the grant threshold and can apply for those dollars. But I think if we plan appropriately, we still can do what we need to do on the financial side. Willie, I definitely agree with that. But then on the other side, from a grant related side, it provides some reassurance to the community that there's some buy-in on our end or some skin in the game that exists on that end. That's just my personal opinion.
I appreciate that, because I'm over here. So I appreciate that, but I just think we gotta, but we gotta keep the main thing, and you are exactly right. We need that. So yes, so I do agree with you.
Yeah.
This is unsolicited, but in terms of like lending, my thought process is like, there are banks that are doing that. If the banks are meeting the needs of the people that are applying, then, is it a little bit of a guarantee that the partnership provides to unlock something, or is there something that the partnership can do? Because, well, you do have finite amount of capital, and you don't want to lock it up for a 20-year period. That doesn't do anybody any
That's
good.
right.
So it's really thinking about how can you use your all's money to unlock what isn't being brought here, but
That's
equity
right.
too, that's the other thing. It's like, hey, this is, the capital stack, as you say, we can bring partners in that can make the loan, and they can do the analysis. And maybe there's a little piece of the cap, contribution that the partnership makes to make that financing more secure, to make the bank do it. But there's also maybe some equity that you get your money back fast. And that's kind of the art
That's
of it
right.
all.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
The
right.
world is your oyster.
You and William keep us,
Yeah. Well, that's a
will
good
keep us in,
point.
living in reality.
Yeah, I think that's just a really good point, because, and part of this, as we work with our PR firm, is educating people about who we are and what we're not.
Right.
Because the partnership doesn't have a pool of money that's gonna be a panacea for all West Louisville. We were created to help support.
Yeah.
Okay, undergird, not take care of all the issues. And so that's hard for people to remember sometimes.
I think we really need to look at some kind of, relationship or loan guarantees. Is how are we gonna service loans, all of the other, how are we gonna collect the debt? All of the banky stuff that we're not set up to
Right.
do.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Like,
that
that's
would be
like
another
we're-
entity.
But we've already started those
Desire to
conversations.
set up.
We've already started those conversations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
understand that.
We're not trying to do that.
That's.
Yeah.
We're not qualified to do that.
Yeah, I'm not,
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked,
Mhm.
Yeah.
we don't want to be doing constant small loan closings.
Yeah.
And tracking
Well, but
loan
there's
payments
kind
and
of-
Things like
Yeah.
But
that.
there's also a need for like the microloans and stuff
Right.
that banks, the compliancy requirements, it's, it's the same paperwork to do a $20,000 loan as it is a $2 million loan. They make more money, so there may be niches and gaps that, we need to fill that the market's not. And I think that's kind of, what we were created for. And then the equity side, like, maybe some nonprofit, needs some property or needs to expand, and, we can take an equity, part in that property and then sell that equity later and make our money back.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Great conversation.
it is. I know, we're about ready to wrap up. But there is accountability too that is built into working with Cornerstone with regard to the nonprofits. Because the nonprofits in this footprint have, like some of the small businesses, they have some things that they need to shore up. Would you not say that, Travis?
Absolutely. As far as the documentation that we're requesting to communicate the feasibility of your project, there's no difference between the nonprofit and the for-profit organization.
A lot of opportunity for
Yeah,
us.
it is.
A lot of
Accountability, but accountability is key
Yes, ma'am.
on
I
every
have
level.
one question and then I have a suggestion.
Yes, ma'am.
And Travis, I don't know if it's a question for you or whomever, but, dang, I done lost my whole train of thought.
That happens to
Man.
me.
Think on it.
Mhm.
Well, let me give my suggestion. I'll come back to my question. Oh, my question. I got it. So you made a quick statement and you said something along the lines of if they don't have, and I'm totally paraphrasing, okay? If they don't have the right documentation, or if they need some assistance, we've partnered up with somebody or you refer them to somebody? Did I?
Yeah,
understand?
well, we haven't as of yet, but we've just talked to a few organizations to check the temperature of the room to see if they'd be willing to help those small businesses out.
And are
Add them
those,
to their already existing pipeline.
are they local? businesses?
Yes, each one of them.
Right. And my suggestion to think for y'all too. My suggestion to think about, is a nomination. So for the grants, like Ms. Laura was saying, there are some small nonprofits, or there may be some phenomenal people doing great things in the neighborhood that can't afford to pay the application fee to get their nonprofit status, right? So I was thinking if we could do a nomination, meaning like, I'm gonna use you for an example. So if I know she's doing something wonderful and great, I can nominate her for a $2,000 grant because she's doing X, Y, Z. The reason I say that because it gets the community more involved. It's a good PR. Hey, look, it's not a lot that we're asking of them, but they still got to go through the application process. They still got to go, but it's good for someone else to represent or say, hey, this person is doing something great, and it's not us just making that decision. So like a nomination for the grant, and like it could be the max is $5,000. It don't have to be anything grand.
And I think that could fall under the suggestion that Dr. Craddock was making.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Because we
why I
want to
kinda-
minimize using the word grant before William hands me over here. But yeah,
Let's
that's
go
good.
back to, again, the information that we received during the community meetings.
Mhm.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And it's kind of, you gave us that information. You said that to us. Now here's the nomination.
Right.
If you want to nominate that person or nominate the organization, then, nominate them and they still got to go through.
The process, yeah.
Because
Because you have to make sure whatever amount of money you're giving to any entity, you want to make sure that there's going to be an accountable process. We don't want to get the reputation, well, they're doling out money, but then what happened to it? You understand what I'm saying? So that's key as well.
Well, that could be a role for each board, each neighborhood board member
Mhm,
as well.
mhm,
That's
You know,
true.
when as you interact with the
mhm.
people in the neighborhood that you represent, what kind of information are you getting back from them about these small nonprofits that are doing good
See,
things?
y'all mind is racing. I didn't say do it today. I said y'all was ready to go. I'm just throwing it out there for you.
All right.
Good conversation.
Good conversation. Any more comments?
Just to say, this is exciting, necessary, fulfilling, critical work.
Mhm.
And it's wonderful to be a part of.
It is exciting.
Well,
Exciting.
I think we definitely got the right person to be there. So
Yes.
appreciate all your effort.
Yes.
Any other comments? Any other?
And thanks to
questions?
Travis and Cornerstone,
Yes,
they
they-
are standing and delivering.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you guys so much, and we greatly
thank you, and
appreciate.
keep it up though. No, we ain't just keep doing what we doing, all right?
Yes, sir. We
Ain't get the
definitely
ball yet, all
appreciate
right?
the
Ain't like that.
opportunity.
We gotta keep it going.
We appreciate the opportunity to be of service to our community. Thank you again.
Great. Thank you, Travis.
If we don't have anything, can we adjourn?
Yes.
Yep, whoa, whoa, whoa.
The agreements that we had the special meeting for, are those all negotiated and executed?
Nimbus,
Nimbus,
yes.
Yes.
El
And the
Home,
Crow.
no. And Crow, yes.
Yes. Mhm.
Can those be included in the board packet for the next meeting?
Sure.
Thanks. Perfect. Any other questions or comments? A motion to adjourn? So, all right.
Thank you, Travis. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you again, everyone. Stay safe. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.